Hey folks, Brian here from the Working Class Fishing Podcast. Today I'm going to do a quick demo on cleaning stalker rainbow trout. So I kept two of these. The limit on this particular lake is 5. But you'll notice if you look really close here that these are hatchery trout. So these aren't wild trout. These are actually put here to keep. And they've probably put in about 20,000 of them so far this year. They'll probably end up putting about 30 to 35,000. Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife raises these fish for us to keep. So these are not coming out of the wild population. You'll notice that they've came out of a hatchery. A lot of their dorsals and everything else are all tore up and everything. But they're fun fish to catch, and they're a great way to teach you guys how to actually clean the fish. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to do this. So I got my Benchmade here. So this is the preferred knife that I like to use. And one thing I did was as soon as I caught them, I went ahead and cut their gills out and I bled them out. And the important reason why you bleed them as soon as you catch them is because their heart's still pumping. It's going to get the blood out of them, and it's going to make the meat a lot better. It's going to make it a lot cleaner, and it's going to get those toxins. So immediately dispatch your fish and make sure that you clean them accordingly. So let's go ahead and start with this guy here. So nice little stalker trout. I'm going to go ahead and give it a good rinse. So they've been on the stringer out in the lake, and not necessarily a bad thing. But one cool thing is, so check your rates on where you can clean. We have a cleaning station here, so if you take a look around, we have a cleaning station, so we got a bunch of fish heads and guts and everything else. And this is basically to keep those types of things out of the waterway. Some waterways it doesn't matter, some it does. And so this particular waterway, it does matter. So what I'm doing is I'm giving this a really good rinse. And this rinse is actually, on this type of cleaning station hose, is descaling this fish really well. So before I even clean it, I'm going to go ahead and descale this fish. And normally you would just take your knife and you could scrape. And you'll notice that as you scrape, you're going to notice those scales come off. So you can either get one of those comb type descalers, or you can just use the edge of your knife. All depends on what you want. And you're going to go ahead and descale the fish. So rainbow trout, super cool little red band on them. It's always cool to kind of examine them up close here. Now notice I'm keeping my hand out of the guide of the knife here. I got my thumb through the mouth of the fish, and like I said, this fish was dispatched quickly and humanely. Okay, so I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to leave as much of the scale and slime and everything else here as I can, because what'll be nice is when I go ahead and cook these up tomorrow morning for breakfast, they're going to be all descaled, and I don't have to mess around with them. I can get them right into the fry batter, and off we go. Okay, I'm going to wash my knife off. I'm going to go ahead, and I'm going to go down here to the fish's vent. The vent is dual purpose on a fish. It's for reproduction and for waste removal. I don't want to go too deep into the fish, but I'm just going to go ahead and start splitting this fish. Now, a good pair of scissors will work just as well. I don't carry scissors with me all the time, so in this case, I just threw in a couple things into the kayak, and I'm just going to split this fish right up the belly. Now, if I wouldn't have bled this fish, we would have had some blood now. But because this fish has been bled, I don't have any blood. So a very light incision. That way we don't puncture any of the stomach contents. We don't puncture anything in the intestinal tract here that goes down to the vent. That way when we come here to the cleaning station, we can make a nice clean sweep. We can pull those guts, disconnect them, and pull everything out in one shot. Into the gut bucket it goes. Now, there's a vein in the back here, and normally, like I said, if you don't bleed these fish, and you notice that this meat's actually not bad color for a hatchery fish. So normally you're going to get a real white meat on it, but this is going to be a little bit pinker. So not a bad thing. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my thumb, I'm going to go down the spine, and I'm just going to clear out all that blood out of the spine. Now, without bleeding the fish properly, what can end up happening is you can leave that blood in there, and it's going to taint the meat on the fish. So last thing you want to do, make sure you get the rest of these gills out of the gill plate and everything else. We're going to take those, make sure it's all picked out. We're going to give it one more good rinse. So you'll notice that there's just a little bit left in there. I'm going to just go ahead, try to work out as much as you can. Sometimes you can get all of it, sometimes you can't. It just depends, because you get little divots down there in the actual vertebrae of the fish, and you can kind of dig at it and everything else, but you just want to make sure you get all that stuff out of there. Any of this leftover skein that's in there, I call it skein, it's just the inner membrane from the body cavity. You want to make sure it's all good and clean, and we have a fish ready to be packed up and taken home. I'm going to leave the head intact just in case I was stopped by Fish and Game. They want to make sure that this is a legal length fish, but that's all there is to it. So there you have it. That is how you clean a rainbow trout. I'm going to get on my other one here, and I'm going to get that one cleaned up. But I hope you guys found this video informative, and like I said, always make sure to like and subscribe. Go over to our Instagram page, make sure that you follow the Working Class Fishing Podcast, and also make sure that you listen to us on Spotify, Google Play, Apple Podcasts, or any of the other stuff. Sorry, I'm concentrating here. So anyways, hope you guys all have a good day. Get out, catch some fish, and have some dinner.